Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you for spending this 1 hour with me again here in Kingwood, Texas, for another, what we expect to be an involved show on politics, of course. What else? And what are we going to be talking about? We're going to be talking about the presidential election again. Why are we talking about the presidential election again? Because I think what occurred last week and we kind of touched on it somewhat last week in England, or we should actually say the United Kingdom, will have an effect on our body politic right here in the United States. So let's get busy and start talking about it. But before I get busy on specifying exactly what we're going to do, I want to remind those that are listening on live, I will be responding to any comments that you put down there. So under this show, where you're watching it live, if you want to interact with me or tell me anything, or if you want to have your name shouted out or whatever, go ahead and send me a comment, and I'll be sure to acknowledge you. More so, remember that this is a call-in show. Remember, you can give us a call at 646-929-2495 if you want to talk to me. Again, that is 646-929-2495. You'll go on air when you call. Also, remember, if you want to talk, because some people just call in to listen, but if you want to actually talk and be on air, when you dial 646-929-2495, hit the number 1, and I'll know to bring you up on the panel and bring you on air so that you can have some live interaction. Of course, I'm also following hashtag Politics Done Right on Twitter. Again, that is hashtag Politics Done Right on Twitter. By the way, do remember, go ahead and share these shows. One of the things that we want to do with respect to the media out there is we all know one thing. We know one thing specifically, and that is we are not getting the news that we should be getting. We're not getting the points of views that we should be getting. And why is that the case? That is the case because we have a corporate control media. Until we control the media ourselves by using every platform. I mean, I normally say, yes, let's use Facebook as well. But the reality is what we want to do is we want to use Facebook as a platform. We want to use Twitter as a platform. We want to use, what's that other thing? All the other social media platforms. And why do we want to do that? Because not one company controls it all. So if we are all over the place, Instagram is what I was thinking about. Snapchat is what I was thinking about. Let's use all the platforms that we have to get the message out, to bring people into the fold. Hola, Lilian Rosas Monasterios, mi amiga de Panamá. ¿Cómo estás? Anyhow, puedes escribir lo que quieres y te respondo. Anyway, what we want to say is we are the media. We have to become the media going forward, because what we're hearing on NBC, ABC, CBS, NBC is, remember, packaged news. When you listen to packaged news, we have packaged behaviors. When we have the free flowing of news, meaning I am an outlet, you can be an outlet. Everybody here has the ability to, you all have minds. So therefore, you all have the ability to be a part of the body politic. And what you will see Politics Done Right promote is not the preeminence of any one person, not the preeminence of any one media source, but to tell you, let's really democratize what it is to be an American, a person completely and involved in the body politic. And remember, again, it's a call-in show. You can reach me at 646-929-2495. 2495. I see already have a caller, but I'm going to be handling the blog of the week first and so forth, and then I'll be with you. I think that's John Holden. But I want to hear your voices as well as the messages that you put out there for me to read, as well as the Twitter. And let me get to Twitter to see if anybody has anything yet. Whenever you want to send me Twitter, hashtag Politics Done Right, do go ahead and like the page, Politics Done Right, on Facebook. Do remember to go ahead and like the Twitter, or rather follow Twitter account at Egberto Willies. Again, that is at Egberto Willies. So folks, many wondered if the Brexit vote in the UK would have any influence on the presidential election in the United States of America. The question is, what do you think? And I want to hear you guys call in on that as well. 646-929-2495. I think that it will. I think Brexit will have an effect on the American body politic. I think Brexit will have an effect all over the place. Now, many people who simply want to make a protest vote with the expectation that it would simply be that, or likely to rethink their position after seeing that Brexit, which every poll had in a tight race, but it being ahead, it still lost. So people think about that. Others will be more pragmatic and choose country over party. It's interesting. I just got a message from a friend today that said, hey, look at this. Republicans, women fighting for Hillary Clinton. In other words, you get the point. Some people are finally saying party over country over party. Whether that is Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders just came out this week, and he started. And by the way, let me give my I better go ahead and be full disclosure. I am a strong Bernie Sanders supporter, an advocate of Bernie Sanders, and likewise, I am a delegate to Philadelphia 2016 to support the platform that Bernie Sanders is looking for. But again, remember, country over party is what we're watching people do right now. Let me get my screen back up. Anyhow, yet others will once again acquiesce to the best of two bad choices as they continue building a political revolution that will incorporate a real democracy. The 2016 election will be interesting. What are your thoughts? I want to hear from you. Let's talk. I also want to remind you again, for those who are late to the show, I want to remind you that we are following hashtag Politics Done Right on Twitter. I'm asking you to go ahead and follow Egberto Willies so that whenever these shows are out, you get your little tweet, know that it's coming. Give me a call. What's the number to give me a call on? 646-929-2495. Again, that number is 646-929-2495. And of course, you can follow us for those that are listening on Blog Talk Radio or on the other channels that we're currently going on right now. You can always give us a call, or you can always go to facebook.com/politicsdoneright and follow us there. Anyhow, you know what time it is, folks, right? I think you possibly know what time it is.
It's time for the weekly blog post.
Okay, the weekly blog post, it's titled, Will Hillary Clinton be buoyed by Brexit? Actually, the title is, Brexit may ultimately help Hillary Clinton. And here it goes. Americans are mad and tired of voting for change in our binary party system and getting no change. Brexit likely causes Americans to acquiesce once more. Non-establishment candidates infiltrated each party during the election cycle. Bernie Sanders ran as a Democrat, and we all know Bernie Sanders is an independent. Donald Trump ran as a Republican. We all know Donald Trump is pretty much nada, niet, nothing. The math isn't there for Sanders. Sanders said that this week. He said the math isn't there. So what Sanders is doing is going out there to ensure that the Democratic Party will represent what Democrats really represent. The math made Donald Trump, however, the nominee of his party. Trump is decidedly behind in both national polls and battleground state polls. In fact, One of the better pollsters, Nate Silver, gave Hillary Clinton a 78-22 advantage over Donald Trump. Polls are good until they aren't. Remember that. Polls are good until they aren't. Many times they aren't because the polls themselves influence the outcome. Some people stay home because they think their vote will not matter, or some who otherwise wouldn't come out to do their part. In other words, it can be oversampled or undersampled based on people's reactions to the polls. Brexit is making quite a few people anxious, Republican and Democrats alike. They know that Donald Trump is unstable. As such, they want to make the pragmatic vote. This morning I came across an interesting blog post on my feed. Corey Shake, a fellow at the Hoover Institution, a former director for defense strategy and requirements on the National Security Council staff, and deputy director for policy planning in the State Department, of whom George W. Bush, said the following. Last Friday, people across the United Kingdom woke up shocked to learn that their nation had actually voted to leave the European Union. More than 1 million people now reportedly would like to change their vote from leave to remain. More than 3 million signed a petition for a second referendum. EU institutions and major corporations based in London announced they would move operations and jobs from Britain to the EU. My reaction was a little different. I decided, this is a woman speaking here. My reaction was a little different. I decided to endorse Hillary Clinton for president. It wasn't an easy decision. As a conservative, I find Hillary Clinton stands for the opposite of a number of things. I believe strongly that our government is involved in too many areas of our lives. That is, profligacy is spending our country into bankruptcy, and that very often makes problems worse because it knows too little to keep pace with change. Clinton has a seemingly inexhaustible list of government programs to address every social concern and no conceivable way to pay for it. By the way, I don't agree with what this woman is saying, but this woman is saying these things, but she still intends to vote for Clinton. It's amazing. So I have deep misgivings about a Clinton presidency, but the anguish of British voters who cast a protest vote thinking it would matter, that their vote wouldn't be decisive, convinced me that something much bigger is at stake in this election. The unthinkable, I realized, was actually possible this year. In the British referendum, major polling firms had the Remain vote leading as much as 8%. So pollsters thought, at some pollsters, 8% it was up at the time of a few hours before the election. As little as 5 hours before results were announced, betting markets gave Remain a 96% chance of success. And I realized I didn't want to wake up on November to find Donald Trump elected president and wish I had done more to prevent it. Shake pointed out further in the article a list of reasons why Trump is simply not a viable choice for America. It turns out that some conservatives object to a Trump presidency as much as any liberal. As happened in the UK, sometimes protest votes are consequential, especially when the outcome is uncertain. We should all heed Shake's call, however. Remember what she said. As little as 5 hours before results were announced, betting markets gave Remain a 96% chance of success. And then I realized I didn't want to wake up on November 9th to find Donald Trump elected president and wish I had done something to prevent it. Folks, the UK could possibly get a revote on Brexit. Yes, that's a possibility. There could be a revote on Brexit. There's nothing stopping that. America, however, does not get a revote on President of the United States. You elect him, you have him for 4, or her, you have it for 4 long years. Hi, Mary Waterstone, how are you doing? Lilian Rosa Monasterios, how are you doing? And Marian Castiglia, How are you doing? Thank you for being here on the show. Now let's go ahead and take our first caller. And do remember, I'd love for more people to call the voice lines as well. I'm following what you're writing under the page, but I'd love to also get some more voice calls and more interaction. But come on in, John. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm good. How you doing, Egberto?
Sounds good. Sounds good. Come on in. Let me hear your point of view, my friend.
Okay. Well, we had a, I mean, maybe I was a little hyperbolic on your KPFT show.
Oh, no. This is what we're all about, my friend. Come on. You know better than that. You know we're buddies. Go ahead.
Yeah, I know we're buddies. I mean, that's why I called it to your show, because we have, very similar economic views and also Warren Keith's views. But sometimes on the polling and the other nuanced issues, we are quite different.
Right.
I noticed that you're acknowledging the polling more this week than you are last week, and there's been more polling this week that shows an even more increased lead for Hillary Clinton.
Let me tell you why I did that. I want to tell you why I did that, okay? Because I didn't want to lose the audience. I listen to what my audience have to say, very much so. And I didn't want it to come across as if I somehow believed that the polls that we're currently seeing is somehow not what you said or what others, actually wrote me about and said. And that is, look, the woman has a definitive lead in the polls right now. I know that. And I wanted to acknowledge that I know that. What I wanted to also acknowledge is I don't think those numbers or any of these numbers in an election year like this is very solid. And my concern is, and you called it fear, I think, when we spoke on the KPFT show, my fear is that people take this for granted. As Sheikh said in her piece, she doesn't want to wake up the next morning and say, God, what could I have done? And I think with the platform that I'm using here, both on the internet and on live radio with KPFT, I don't want to wake up and say, gosh, I should have been more urgent in the way I was relaying messages. That's all. Come on in, John.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, nobody wants to wake up, or not nobody, but I mean, most liberals don't want to wake up, or almost 99% of liberals don't want to wake up to have a Trump presidency.
Right.
But I mean, to me, the question is, as a Sanders supporter, like we both are, I mean, how do we be realistic about a Hillary presidency, yet also be realistic about what a Trump president would be.
Right.
And so, what my point that I want to do is that basically I'm going to vote for Hillary, but I also want to see her primaried in 2020.
Right.
And I read the article that you had last night. I guess it was the professor from Pomona College in California.
Right.
And I agreed with most of those points. And I think what he was saying was, at the very last paragraph, is that what we'll probably see is, if Hillary Clinton does win, is we'll see, basically the same thing, the continuation of gridlock.
Right.
And so, so that's going to be an issue. And that's why I think that I'm a little bit concerned, to see Warren up on the stump with Clinton. I mean, I think that she should still be continuing to point out all the extreme flaws that Trump has.
Right.
But as she goes closer to Clinton, I think she does lose a little bit of credibility.
She's been getting hit very hard on that issue. She has been getting hit very hard. In fact, on some of my blogs, I actually wrote a piece with, I think you probably read with when the two of them went campaigning together, and she really got slammed on, a lot of people think that she was selling out by going to Hillary as opposed to simply being pragmatic. Now, you mentioned earlier, your vote is for Hillary. as a Bernie Sanders supporter and delegate, my vote won't be released until Bernie Sanders and team releases my vote. That is an ethical thing for me as a Bernie Sanders delegate going to Philadelphia. But I understand your position as a Bernie Sanders supporters and where you're at now. But I think it'll all be resolved after Philadelphia. When it comes to Elizabeth Warren, I am of mixed feelings, and I don't know how you feel about this. And while I got some more callers here listening because we're rotating through Facebook, I want to remind folks you can call into the show. I would love to hear your voices as well. We're friendly out here, so give us a call. It is 646-929-2495. You can call from Skype. You can call from Facebook. Actually, Facebook has a dialer now that you can use to call into whatever show you want to call into by telephone. And you can reach me by calling or by sending a hashtag politics done right, a tweet to hashtag politics done right, so that we can actually converse. I'd love to hear your comments as the show goes on as well. I'm following it on underneath the show in Facebook, that if you want to say anything, I'll be more than happy to either talk about it or answer it. So again, that number 646-929-2495. Going back to Elizabeth Warren, yes, we need that. I think we need that warrior in the Senate. But then again, also, I sit back and I try to figure out, and I don't know how you feel about this, but I don't see the excitement with Hillary and, let's say, a Tim Kaine. I see two sorts of excitements that's aroused with Hillary and Elizabeth Warren. One is women power. And what I mean by women power is finally seeing women get on stage who are going to be in full control as best the president can of the country. And I think that would be inspiring to a whole lot of women across both, gender, race, age, everything. Secondly, I think that she and her, many would see her as someone who is a backstop for Hillary Clinton. In other words, if Hillary decides to go full plutocratic, I think she would be there to check her. And I think Clinton would actually listen to her for the fear, because, Elizabeth Warren is sort of a hot gun. She will go off on you. So what do you think about that?
Well, I think that's the reason she's not going to get picked. That's not the position
right.
of a vice president. I mean, a vice president is essentially an employee of the president.
True.
And so most people don't try to buck their boss.
Right.
And so I just don't think she's going to get picked, and especially with such a big lead that Clinton has in the Electoral College. But I'm very worried about Kaine. I think Kaine is he right now he's 39th on Progressive Punch. There's 46 people that caucus with the Democrats in the Senate. So he is very conservative, and I think that he's gotten a lot of good press. And I'm glad to hear that you're concerned about Kaine, because a lot of the progressive press isn't talking enough about this, how truly conservative Kaine is.
Yeah.
And he voted for TPA. And TPP. There were only 14 Democrats that voted for it. Mm-hmm. And if those 14 wouldn't have voted for it, there wouldn't be a fast track authority.
Right.
And so his voting record is not good. He is a conservative Democrat. Don't try to don't. A lot of people are saying. Even Crystal Ball wrote a piece in the Huffington Post saying he's a great progressive. He's not.
Crystal Ball said that.
Well, he's voting. Yeah, it's in the Huffington Post.
Oh, God.
And I mean, she's from Virginia, and so I'm sure they're friends.
Right.
But it's a very misleading thing that she wrote. I guess you can look at the other point and say, well, he votes with the Democratic Party, 91 to 92% of the time, and so that's still a lot of votes.
Right.
On crucial votes, he does go with conservatives quite a bit, and he also has very militaristic views, and I think that's why Clinton will pick him, because her views on the military, which are still very much I think caught in the Cold War. Not necessarily the Cold War era, but I think to some degree it is. But it's also the idea that America is the superpower, and we need to maintain this superpower status, to where we need to intervene in other countries. And like her point about Syria, I think Sanders did not press this point enough. Her Syria positions are really awful about the no-fly zone and being more involved. She went against Obama on Syria policy. She's criticized him for his thing about saying
I remember that,
doing stupid stuff. So yeah, I'm worried about her, but compared to Trump, Trump is like a walking constitutional crisis. Here accepting the power.
I love that, a walking constitutional crisis.
Yeah, you just don't know what he's going to do. We've really gotten lucky though, because like I said before, I think last week, Kasich would be an extremely formidable opponent, and that's very sad, because you would think that the country's, and I think it is, especially the people under 45 are getting more progressive. Right. But Kasich in this Ballotpedia thing, where Clinton had these huge leads over Trump. Actually, and in 5 of those 7 states, Kasich had leads over Clinton. So amazing, isn't it? We got lucky. We really got lucky that Kasich was the candidate. This is something. Paul Ryan, I know he didn't run. Right. But he's also doing very well in those hypotheticals. Absolutely. As far as the point about polling and that this could change, I think that the demographics are very set in stone, and the only right now, I also want to compliment Nate Silver. Let me ask you to hold one second. Let me ask. There are little nuanced things that I don't agree with, but I think overall his new ratings are very good, and I recommend everybody to go to 538 and look at them who has an interest. Got you, John. Let me ask you to hold one second, John. John, hold one second. I want to tell the new folks coming online. Folks, this is also a call-in show. We're actually on Blog Talk Radio as well and other channels. So you can give us a call at 646-929-2495. Again, that number is 646-929-2495. If you have something that you want to add to the discussion, give us a call. We're friendly out here, and we want to hear from you. Actually, I'm going to put the number inside of in the post so that you can go ahead and call if you so desire. 646-929-2495. And of course, if you have a message that you want to put out here, you can go ahead and put that message out under the post, and I'll be more than happy to answer anything or talk about anything, and let's do it. Okay, go ahead, John. Well, what I'm saying is that the demographics are actually very similar to the 2012 election. Right now, if you were to look back, and you can do this easily, go back on the Wikipedia state polling page, go back 1 month, and look at all the polls, within a 1 month period, which I think is the most accurate way to judge state polls. And, right now, today until August, I think 6th, in most of the summer, it's been this way. The polls are actually incredibly accurate. Now, that's 1 year. It was 332 to Obama, 206 to Romney. Right. And right now, the only state that's flipped back to Clinton is North Carolina. Yeah, but let me say one thing though, John. I think we have to be careful here, and this is where I think you and I have some disagreement. You're very poll driven, and yes, I believe the polls. I believe the polls instant in time. Not only do I believe the polls instant in time, I believe the poll when it asks people who do they support, who they're going to support, etc. I believe all of that. I agree with all of that. My concern,
Hi, Mary Waterstone. I see you're a huge Bernie supporter as well. My concern is that without the excitement, these people that are strong supporters of the Democratic Party will simply stay home. We have a propensity to stay home much more so than folks in the Republican Party, who in general are more angry, and who in general are more angry at Hillary than the rest of the folks I think are angry at Trump. I think Trump is sort of that kind of a guy that comes across as a bad boy, and a lot of people don't take what a president has to do as seriously as they should. Folks, the telephone number is 646-929-2495. You have John on the line right now, eating up most of the live talking time. You can get in as well. Come on in, John.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say that, that again, I mean, I don't mean too repetitive from last year, but I mean, I understand your concern, but I mean, in the election years, the turnout has been good. I guess what you're saying is that people were more enthused about Obama in 2008 and 2012 than they are about Clinton.
And that's a fact.
Therefore,
yeah.
That's right. Okay.
That's in other words,
well, that's true, but they're all,
look at the support that. Before that, John, let me just say this real quickly. Favorability, unfavorability. The truth of the matter is, when Obama was coming into power, he was actually loved by. I mean, it was in fact, I think it was sort of overboard, the kind of support he had from those who supported him. Hillary has a lot of support, but a lot of her support is rather soft. I mean, you have people that don't like her, but they're still supporting her. I mean, all of that is pretty soft, and that is the kind of stuff that concerns me about her. Remember, back in 2008, she was the favorite as well. So I mean, these are the things that I look at. So all I'm saying is, from people like yourself, me, and anybody else doing any kind of media out there, I think it is our responsibility. I think we're responsible to tell people that, look, you must go out there and vote. You must go out there and be a part of the system. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that. But I mean, if you look at the polling before, it's been incredibly accurate. I mean, the smaller the race, the harder it is to poll.
Yes.
I mean, this is the biggest story of the year. I mean, nothing's even close.
Right.
And so, so the polling, 2 weeks before an election, a presidential election, is just incredibly accurate. I mean, there's just no denying it. You can look at these polls and look them up, year by year, election year by election year, and they just are accurate because so many people are tuned in.
Yeah. Now,
so I mean,
hold on a second, John. Jacob Santien, I see what you wrote on the board here on Facebook. Give us a call, 646-929-2495. I would love for you to come into the conversation as far as Trump is concerned, because I know your position there. Again, 646-929-2495. We're friendly out here, Jacob. Anyhow, continue, John.
Well, I want to go away from polls for a second. I want to ask your opinion of all the turmoil that the Trump campaign is in. In other words, let's think about the convention. How many Republicans, give me a percentage of elected Republican officials that are on committees that have to show up are going to show up? I think it's going to be, like a third, maybe.
I think that's being nice. This
convention is going to be the strangest convention, to where Republicans don't want to show up at this convention.
Right.
Mitch McConnell in February of this year was talking about, thinking about strategies of how they're going to hold the Senate and hold the House. They know the Trump campaign. And, they're not, after a while, and people did coalesce around him, in early May when he became the nominee. But then he kept saying all this crazy, insane racist stuff. And, they know he can't win. Look at the people that he's vetting for vice president. You have Newt Gingrich,
Yes.
after he ran in 2012, was the most unpopular national politician
Yes.
in the country. You have
Yes.
Chris Christie, who may be indicted at any time, as a 26% approval rating in his home state. These other people, like Pence and Corker, they're weighing, well, should we even run with him? You know, he's going to lose so badly that he's going to taint our political career. Joni Ernst doesn't want to run with him.
Oh, I hadn't heard that. I didn't hear that Joni Ernst actually didn't want to run. I thought they were about to start vetting her.
Well, that's what I heard the latest. I mean, I was following it pretty closely, reading articles, watching a couple of cable shows. The top two were Christie and Gingrich, and also, you know, the top one is supposed to be Gingrich. Okay. And these are people that are close to him. And I mean, even Gingrich was criticizing him for a month ago about the Judge Curiel.
Absolutely.
I mean, you know, these people. I mean, you know, how can you vet a guy? How can you vet Gingrich? I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, you know, he had tried to impeach the president for infidelity, and he's full of infidelities in his life.
Yes.
You know, he's a scam artist. Both of those guys.
Well, both of them, it would be the two scam artists running.
Documented this very well. All they do, you know, is they try to make money off these naive right-wing people. And
right.
I mean, that's all Gingrich. That's how he makes a good living.
Now, it's interesting because I tell you what, folks, the newcomers are on the line. There are three ways that you can go ahead and reach us if you want to be a part of the show. You can give us a call and be a part of the show at 646-929-2495. Again, that is 646-929-2495. You can send a tweet to hashtag politics done right. I'll see the tweet that you send if you want to get a message to me, of course. And of course, we're at facebook.com/politics done right. And you'll see the video there and you can post underneath the video. Here you go. I see a message here from Salvador Perez. Welcome aboard. Another great listener from KPFT as well. He says, I think we'll be all right. All those young Bernie voters will be backing him at the convention. Then after the convention, they will vote Democratic. They're not going to vote the buffoon Trump. But you're right. We must not rest on our laurels. Exactamente, correctamente, señor. Lo tienes perfectamente así. Anyway, folks. Again, the number is 646-929-2495. You have allowed John to monopolize the lines while many of you are in both just listening or listening at Facebook. But I'd love for more of you to be a part of the conversation. I'd love to hear your points of views, whether you're a Hillary supporter, whether you're a Bernie supporter, or whether you're the supporter of the Donald. I am concerned about those who claim support for the Donald. Sometimes I have, like I've told some on my other shows, I can understand the frustration, but I'm concerned about that. 646-929-2495, 646-929-2495. So we have left about 21 or so minutes left in the show. What are we going to talk about? The topic of the show today was pretty much, will Brexit help Hillary Clinton become president of the United States? And like I mentioned in the blog of the week, I think Miss Sheck, I think is her name, was very correct in people seeing, first of all, they see the reaction. They see that their vote. I think what happened inside of in the UK is that people finally saw that their vote mattered. As soon as they voted, something happened. But I have some deeper thoughts on that because I was on two sides of the equation, but I won't go there now because we have another caller. Bold person just called in. I want more bold people to call in because we are friendly here and we want everybody to have their say on air. 832, who do I have the honor of speaking with?
This is Don. I work up there at KPFT.
Don, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing pretty good.
Talk to me.
Man, about the Hillary thing, I think really right now, the way people are looking at the polls, like I said on the chat earlier, I think they're looking at the polls before any debate. I think they're looking at the polls before anything comes out. Like right now, it's way too early to tell. Trump, like I said, is a sleeping giant because I'm getting a lot of feedback. But
I can hear you very well, and I don't think people are getting feedback, so you're fine.
Okay, cool. But Trump is a sleeping giant in a way that with the 24-hour media, the way it works is they jump on every single thing that happens.
Right.
And every single time something comes up, they change the narrative. Right now, they're talking about, Hillary Clinton and her email scandal and her being interviewed by the FBI. And that's going to change the polls come next week. So the polls are very volatile right now.
I agree with you that the polls are very volatile. How this particular incident actually, and I think John will probably agree with this because this is rather, what you've just said is important. With these different mini scandals that are not really scandals, but how the media plays it, this will tell us, this is an experiment, right? It'll tell us how fickle the poll is or not. Maybe as John says, it's going to be a lot more decisive than we believe, but we'll see. When all these because there are a lot of little mini scandals that are about to occur on both sides. Because I know John would say, let's think about what they're going to come out with Trump University, and there's some new stuff on Trump as well, isn't there, John?
Yeah, there's new stuff every day.
So what
are you speaking of?
Yeah, I think there was another thing similar to the Trump University where he was actually online, where he was actually doing infomercials to get people to buy some sort of a product. I don't remember what it was, which was plagiarized from some motivational speaker or something like that. So there are many of those types of stories that you will hear from Trump. And so how they balance off, we'll see. Now, we had an unforced error, of course, by Bill Clinton. I want to ask, what do you think about what Bill Clinton did this week, Don?
I think Bill Clinton is by far the worst thing that happened to Hillary Clinton. Every single time Bill Clinton shows up in any kind of news, it's always negative. Besides them saying that he's the first black president.
Right.
Of course, false narrative. But yeah, the thing that he did, I believe that every time that he goes out there, it's to muddy the waters.
Right.
Reading those emails and everything else, it's a constant thing of if she doesn't get indicted, then it's a possibility that Bill Clinton had something with it. And that should not be a question at all. But of course, Bill Clinton went out there, and now it's a question.
Right. Because, something that he should... Now, we know that it takes two sides, right? I think most of us have confidence in our Attorney General. What's her name? You know who she is. Loretta Lynch. I think most of us have confidence in Loretta Lynch. So I don't think anybody will sit back there and think that somehow he was able to convince her to do something. But that said, I wonder, what do you think about it, John? About what Bill did this week?
Well, it was a mistake, but I think basically it was much ado about nothing, from a objective point of view. But that's not the way the press is. The press is absolutely awful. They made this until the terror attack that happened in Bangladesh. They made this a major story,
right? And
it was pathetic. It's no big deal. It's not her decision. It's the FBI people. And to make the decision, and let's look what Petraeus did. Petraeus actually gave classified information to his mistress.
Right.
Government servers were hacked by the Chinese. Everybody acknowledged this, and so this actually happened. And
right.
So, the idea. I don't agree with Hillary on a lot of policy issues, and I'm a big Bernie supporter. But I just think the whole email thing is just another right-wing media scandal. That's all it is. It's just the same thing that happened to Bill Clinton. It's nothing. First of all, having your own server, that's not even what they're looking at. They're
right.
looking at if she had mishandled classified information. And I just don't think she would be that stupid.
Right.
I really don't think she is.
Well, you're giving her a better. Hold on a second, Don. Let me just say respond to that real quickly. And it goes this way, John. It's not. I don't even think it's about whether she would do anything bad. I think that an email server is anathema to her way of thinking. She doesn't even understand that stuff. All she knew is she wanted some control of her email, and she asked somebody how best to do that, and somebody else went off and did what they needed to do. Hillary doesn't know anything about servers. When she talked about wipe, clean, she doesn't know what she's talking about. So it isn't, her ignorance on the subject alone makes her innocent to trying to have any wanting to do anything malicious. Go ahead, Don.
I believe having that server is malicious. So I think having that personal server, only using that BlackBerry, because she was told by the FBI whenever she became Secretary of State, to make sure that all confidential information was kept. But she didn't do that. That's why they brought in Lucifer from Russia to testify. And I think that's part of the reason why Bill Clinton talked to Loretta Lynch Friday. And then
no, well, we don't, Don, my friend,
Yeah.
we don't know that. Remember, one of the things I try, if you're going to say that, you probably want to say, my feeling is that is what occurred. We don't want the rest of the audience to believe that there's some information dangling out there that says Bill probably did X, Y, Z. You may have a gut feeling that that's the case, but I don't think it's fair. Yeah, I don't think it's fair to do that. You see what I'm saying? Now, that's it.
I'll say it.
Go ahead, sir.
I'll say it seems odd that Thursday he meets with Loretta Lynch. Saturday, she gets interviewed by the FBI. So it seems very, weird that would come up right after he goes and talks to Loretta Lynch.
Again,
instantly.
I am not going to look. My feeling is similar to yours. Is I don't believe that Clinton's purpose of going to talk to her was just to talk about golf or anything. And I do also think that it is true that Clinton is a very amiable guy. He likes, I think he would have gone out to speak to her anyway. But I think, and this is my opinion, this is nothing that I know, just watching the guy, he probably goes out there and wants to talk to the lady. And who knows, he may have even tried to bring up the thing where he told her, because there's a question that she was asked by Jonathan, whatever Jonathan something asked her when he asked her, and the way Capehart. Yeah, Jonathan Capehart, and the way he answered the question, or the way she answered the question, was from her point of view, not from Clinton's point of view, which meant, and you could see Jonathan kind of noticed that, and he didn't press it any further for reasons we all know within the media. But again, I don't want to hold that server thing. Look, let me tell you something that's occurring with Hillary Clinton that bugs me. Personally speaking, I don't particularly like Hillary, even though I was a supporter back in 2008 before I was an Obama supporter. But that said, I don't believe a lot. I believe a lot of what's being done to Hillary is misogynistic. I believe a lot of what's been done to her, it's because she's a woman. And one part I am not going to play in the whole thing is beating up on this woman for things that men do all the times. Because unless you're going to beat up Trump for the same kind of things as you're going to beat up Hillary Clinton, in my domain, I will try. Well, I will not allow it in my domain, but I won't be a part of that. I mean, I think we have to be very, very careful of how we are dealing with this woman who wants to become president of the United States. She's ambitious like any other man who is doing it. So we have to make sure when we're criticizing her that we do it from a point of view that, from the point that, like we would do for a man, and not from that sort of a misogynistic way that it's sort of intrinsic within us as men a lot of times, the way we address things. And it's something that I want to make that effort to get away from. And I think all of us should make that effort to get away from. Okay, we're coming up to about 10 minutes left in the show. Jonathan, you want to add any? Jonathan. John, you want to add anything to that? And anybody online? Oh, great to see you, Joyce. How you doing? Thank you for watching the show. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I mean, I want to agree with you about Hillary, but I know there's a lot of misogyny out there.
Yes.
But I think that most of the people that are criticizing, I mean, I think they come in two degrees. The people who, I think one camp is like what you and I are in, that really have legitimate, that aren't misogynistic,
right.
They have legitimate complaints about her policy.
Exactly.
And the way that she will run the country.
Mm-hmm.
And we're definitely concerned about that. And that's why we're such big Bernie supporters. And that's why, the people under 45 that really supported Bernie,
right.
full-heartedly, and I really have a lot of great admiration for them, and it seems like they really know what's going on. Mm-hmm. But then there's also a lot of people under 45 that are Bernie and bust they have this kind of Hillary the monster kind of type attitude,
right.
And I don't think I think you should just talk about policy. And if you look at policy, and I don't even like to bring this up, but I mean, I do like dealing with facts. And, if you look at voting records,
mm-hmm.
Like I have for years, I've been following this, for years and years.
Right.
You look at National Journal, or you look at polls, she was always in the top quarter to the top half of most liberal senators. Now, the Senate was a lot more conservative when she served mm-hmm. in the early Austin Bush era, but she was not a conservative senator.
Right.
She was, if anything, more. I mean, I wouldn't even say she was center-left. I mean, she was fairly liberal. I mean, she had terrible votes, obviously, on the war.
Right.
And her voting and her attitude towards Wall Street is bad. But a lot of Democrats had that attitude.
Yeah, Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer, yes.
Economic crisis.
Mm-hmm. No, you're absolutely correct about that. And again, we have to remember that she represents New York, so that wasn't a hard thing. That wasn't a hard thing to do. The problem about it, though, is when she campaigns and when she talks about supporting this current platform that we're talking about now, the current Democratic platform, the incrementalism with which she's working is something that we, most of us on the left, most of us on the far left, I think we have to make sure for those of us going to Philadelphia, we have to sort of promote among ourselves that we are going to be fighting for these particular values before the election, during the election, and after the election. One of the things we did with President Obama is after he was voted in, many of us sort of sat back. Many of us also decided not to challenge him in places that he needed to be challenged. And many of us sort of got upset at those, myself included, who challenged him because many of us felt protective towards him. After all, he was the first black president, and we knew that there was a juggernaut, the Republican Party, that was going to be out to get him. Well, I don't know I really don't know if we served the president well in being as protective to him or for him as we were. I think we should have been a little less protective. We can't do that with whoever becomes a Democratic president. Did you want to say something, Don? I think I heard you come in.
Yeah. On the misogynistic thing, that's two parts. I know it's people out there that are looking at her as a woman and a strong woman, and they see her as a threat, but at the same time, because for me, like on my side, I always look at people as human beings. I go on their
right.
morals and what they do and the way they vote and everything else. And for me, I that's the one thing I noticed that Hillary Clinton uses is I'm a woman. Look, I'm a woman, and that's horrible to me. That's like if Barack Obama was running on being black.
Right.
He's like, let's break this glass ceiling of a black president.
Right.
That's not a thing. That's one of those things of I want to be president, and that's her. She kind of like her negative is that she's so into herself And it's not a thing of let's make America better. And that's the one thing, like that Donald Trump all of a sudden is stealing Bernie Sanders' talking points.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Because those talking points work.
Right.
Those talking points actually get to the people.
Yes.
Hillary Clinton should be doing that.
I agree.
Instead of saying, I won.
Yeah,
Just saying you won, I'm a winner, now she's turning into Trump. This is scary.
Well, I don't think she's going to turn into Trump. I don't think she's going to turn into Trump or anything like that. And I think what happens is something that I heard on NBC earlier today, where they spoke about the Clintons living in rarefied air. And what that is that they are, and a lot of our leaders are in fact that way. They are elitists. Hillary Clinton is an elitist. Donald Trump is an elitist who knows how to seem populist. And Bill Clinton as well is an elitist. The thing about it is, like I think John and many of us are saying, is whomever gets into that office, what we have to make sure to do is keep this revolution going. It's a small revolution right now because we hadn't completely done our job in convincing enough people that we can have all the things that Bernie Sanders, and it's not only Bernie Sanders. Look, if you go and look at blogs that many of us have done years ago, we've been preaching this stuff about free college and this stuff about single payer. This is way before Bernie. Well, Bernie has always been there, but many of us have been preaching this as well for a very long time. So, I mean, this is really something that we all have to get out there and do. But we are coming close to the end of the show. So what I'm going to ask you, Don, is to give me your final thoughts, and then I'll go to ask the final thoughts to John. And for those who are listening on here on Facebook, please go ahead and leave a final comment if you have something that you want me to see, or if you have something you want me to say. We have 4 minutes. Go ahead, Don. Closing statements, please.
Okay, quick closing statements on Hillary and Trump. Be careful on what they say, because they will sound like what you like. Like Hillary was talking about giving what's called
debt-free college
reduction for entrepreneurs.
Right.
And that's one of those things where that's the tricky thing, because she says entrepreneurs, and plus she says for federal.
Right.
Federal, not from the banks, but from the federal side.
Right.
Of loans. So be careful on what they say, because that's the most important thing. It will sound nice to you until you look into it. And that's the biggest thing we have to do, is constantly look into what they're actually saying.
Sir,
and not what it sounds like they're saying.
Sir, you're absolutely right. We all have to do that with every candidate. So thank you very much for calling in. Thank you very much for listening, my friend. Okay, John, give me a quick closer.
Yeah, I just want to add, I agree with Don to the point that we have to look at the issues severely. And, but Trump, we also have to realize that he is a complete phony on trade. In 2005, you wrote a blog post praising free trade. He's an opportunist. He's a con man supreme. That's all he's doing. He's trying to con by taking Bernie's talking points. He's trying to con people in the working class who are struggling. And he's trying to say that he's going to represent him, when actually he's going to represent the rich. All you have to do is look at his tax code. He's a complete phony. And I enjoyed the show, very good show. And I wish we had better choices, and that's why I'm saying I agree with your point about we should have held Obama's feet to the fire. I wish Bernie would have primaried in 2012, and I hope a progressive primaries Hillary in 2020. And, we need to have this, not only the grassroots, but have some politicians, be with the Bernie crowd, because the Bernie crowd is going to get bigger, because the problems aren't going to go away.
Thank you, John.
We're going to have gridlock.
You're absolutely.
And
finish your thought.
And so, I just hope that, people who are Sanders supporters stay engaged, vote in elections, vote in down ballot elections. Very important to vote in down ballot.
Thank you very much, John.
Get that Congress going.
You're a good man. Thank you very much, sir. Folks, thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host as usual. And we will be back next week again, please remember to share these types of things, these types of programs on social media. It is important that we create our own gravity so that we're not at the behest of the plutocracy, which is represented and promoted by the mainstream media. You have a wonderful Saturday. Thank you for spending this time with me. I do appreciate your time. Have a wonderful rest of the week and happy 4th of July. Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES, that is, at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.